There are three things you need to know about Metal Gear Solid 4. It's a technological tour de force. This is easily the best looking game on the PlayStation 3 now. It features some of the most explosive action sequences that you have ever seen in a video game. Second, it's really been improved over the previous Metal Gear games, which have had really interesting storylines, they've had great production values, but they haven't always played as well as some of their peers at the time. This game, Guns of the Patriots, has been improved drastically on the gameplay side, so it's just a lot more fun to play. And lastly, perhaps most importantly, if you've been following the Metal Gear series for the last 20 years, this is the last game that will feature Solid Snake that we know of. So if you want to get the full wrap-up of the storyline, find out what happens to all the characters, figure out where all those crazy plot threads are going, you need to play this game. Ever since the first Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, this has been a series that's been pushing the hardware that it's running on. So going into Metal Gear Solid 4, I expected it was going to be a good looking game, but nothing could have prepared me for how good it looked. It's not just the non-interactive cinematics in the game that look so amazing, although that has always been one of the series' high points. It's also the way these presentation values feed into the gameplay. You know, there are a lot of exciting, action-packed cinematics in the game, but unlike in the last games, they actually feed directly into the gameplay. There's no cuts, there's no loading time, it just seamlessly swings the camera around behind Solid Snake, pops up a few heads-up display elements, and you're in the action. Now traditionally, Metal Gear Solid has always been a stealth-based series, but some of the most exciting moments in Guns of the Patriots aren't stealth-related at all. You've got some really crazy chase sequences, escape sequences, some Metal Gear on Metal Gear action, and of course, as is par for the series, some really excellent and innovative boss fights. The Metal Gear Solid series has a lot of high points, a lot of positive qualities, but the gameplay has not always been among them. Metal Gear Solid 4 does not have this problem. They've finally modernized the gameplay. They've brought it in line with other modern third-person shooters, so you've got a fully controllable camera, you can swing it right around behind Solid Snake. There's a Gears of War style over-the-shoulder aiming mode in here now, and you can go to a first-person aiming mode that also lets you move around, which is another first for the series. So all these new additions come together to make this play way better than any Metal Gear Solid you've played before. All of these control updates combine with an increased focus on run and gun action, so you can actually get out in the battlefield and just shoot guys in the face if you really feel like it. But if you still want to play this as a purely stealth action game, you're free to do that. Another new change to the gameplay takes a cue from some Western military-themed games like the Call of Duty and Rainbow Six series. Like in the previous games, you can collect a mountain of assault rifles, shotguns, pistols, and that sort of thing. But unlike in the last games, you can now also get all kinds of upgrades to slap onto those weapons. There's a new character, it's a real smooth-talking kind of weapons salesman guy named Drebin, who shows up and lets you buy stuff from him, such as flashlights, laser sights, scopes. There's all kinds of stuff you can add to your weapons to tailor them to the way that you want to play the game.
Is the hider CQC compatible?
The beauty of this sucker is that it's got a lot of customizable parts.
So the storyline here starts off in the Middle East. A very aged Solid Snake has been called once again out of retirement and sent over because Liquid Ocelot has been spotted in the area. Snake's basically on a wet work assignment here. He's just out there to kill Liquid, that's all this is about. There are plenty of ins and outs to the storyline here. There's a network of soldier-controlling nanomachines, there are privatized military organizations, there's another crazy cyborg ninja guy. Suffice it to say that this is a Metal Gear game through and through. Now the most important thing about this game as the last game in the Metal Gear Solid series is, does it bring closure to the storyline? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. Every character that you can think of who's still alive in the series is going to make an appearance at some point or other. All the crazy hanging plot threads, loose ends that you remember from the last games are going to be addressed and answered here. Some of the answers might satisfy you a little more than others.
Wait, I got it. I bet you're using an older generation of nanomachines.
Older generation.
A few of them might come off as a little hokey.
This is bullshit!
But overall, the storyline comes together really well at the end, gives you a lot of closure. You won't feel left wanting for answers when the game is over. There's also an online mode in here. It's called, appropriately enough, Metal Gear Online. It uses the same stealth and control mechanics as the single-player game. Unfortunately, those don't work out so well when you're using them against thinking human opponents. There's a decent selection of modes in here. There's a handful of maps. You can customize your character. It's not aggressively horrible, but again, the gameplay just does not work as well in an online setting as it does in the single-player game. And there are much better multiplayer shooters like Call of Duty 4 already out on the PS3. On top of all that, it's just a hassle to get into Metal Gear Online. You've got to register 2 separate login IDs just to create your character. Once you've done that, you can only make one character unless you pay more money to make more character slots. And Konami's already selling some other little trinkets for the online experience too, so it seems like this is going to be kind of an ongoing profit vehicle for them in the future.
This is bullshit!
If there's one thing you can say about Metal Gear Solid 4, it's a one-of-a-kind experience. It looks phenomenal. It's the best-looking game on the PlayStation 3 right now, or really any platform. All the little gameplay problems of the past Metal Gear games have been fixed, so this is the most fun Metal Gear game to play that's been released. And again, if you've been following the series from the beginning, you're going to want to know what happens, and this one fills in all the story gaps nicely. If you've been waiting for a game to justify your purchase of a PlayStation 3, this is it.
This is bullshit!